What if I told you that thousands of young people in one of the fastest growing Christian movements in the world participate in sacred rituals that many outsiders have never heard about? Rituals that shape their identity, their faith, and sometimes even their future. Today, we are exploring a question that many people are quietly asking. What are the hidden rituals that Mormon youth experience as they grow up in the church? Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Boring Podcast, because here we uncover the stories, beliefs, and traditions behind religions that many people do not fully understand. Across Europe and around the world, millions of young members grow up in the community of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. For these young people, faith is not only something they believe, it is something they practice through a series of important rituals that begin at a very early age. Some of these rituals are public and celebrated. Others are more personal and spiritual, and a few are rarely discussed outside the church. One of the earliest milestones happens when a child reaches the age of 8. In Mormon belief, this is the age when a child becomes accountable for their actions. At this point, many young members choose to be baptized. Baptism in the LDS tradition is performed by complete immersion in water and represents a commitment to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. But here is something interesting. Unlike infant baptism practiced in some Christian traditions, Mormon children are encouraged to make this decision themselves. For many families, it becomes a deeply emotional moment, filled with celebration and spiritual meaning. Yet baptism is only the beginning. As youth enter their teenage years, they begin participating in weekly youth programs designed to strengthen their faith and prepare them for adult responsibilities in the church. These meetings include lessons about Scripture, leadership service, and personal discipline. But there is one ritual that often sparks curiosity among people outside the faith: temple preparation. The temple holds a special place in LDS belief. While regular church meetings happen in meeting houses, temples are considered sacred spaces where certain ordinances take place. Not every member enters the temple immediately. Young members first go through preparation classes that teach them about the spiritual significance of temple worship. Some critics say these temple practices are mysterious. Supporters say they are sacred and deeply meaningful. So what actually happens? In temples, members participate in symbolic ceremonies that focus on commitment to God, family unity, and spiritual growth. These experiences are meant to strengthen faith and help members see their lives as part of a larger divine plan. And here is where another important milestone appears. For many young men, the expectation of missionary service becomes one of the biggest turning points in their lives. Around the age of 18, many young men choose to serve as missionaries for the church. These missions usually last 2 years and can take them anywhere in the world, from cities in Europe to villages in Africa. Missionaries spend their time teaching about the gospel, performing community service, and inviting people to learn about their faith. Young women can also serve missions. Although their missions typically last 18 months, this experience can be life-changing. Imagine leaving home at 18 years old, moving to a completely new culture, and spending every day speaking to strangers about religion. Some people see it as a powerful act of devotion. Others wonder how such a commitment shapes the identity of young believers. What do you think? Do you believe missionary service helps young people grow stronger in their faith, or do you think it places too much pressure on them? Tell me your thoughts in the comments, because I really want to hear your perspective. But the story does not stop there. Another important ritual involves personal worthiness interviews. These interviews usually happen with local church leaders and are designed to help youth reflect on their spiritual life. Leaders may ask questions about faith, honesty, personal behavior, and commitment to religious standards. Supporters say these interviews provide guidance and mentorship. Critics sometimes argue they can feel intense for young people. This difference of opinion is part of why Mormon youth culture continues to spark curiosity across the world. And here is something that often surprises outsiders. For many Mormon teenagers, these rituals are not seen as strange at all. They are simply part of everyday life growing up in their community. Family support, church friendships, and shared traditions often create a strong sense of belonging. But every generation also brings new questions. In recent years, young members have begun discussing their experiences more openly online. Social media platforms now feature stories from missionaries, youth leaders, and former members describing how these rituals influence their lives. Some describe them as uplifting and transformative. Others share more complicated feelings. And this raises a bigger question. How do religious traditions adapt? as younger generations grow up in a digital world where every belief can be discussed publicly. What do you think the future of these rituals will look like 20 years from now? Will they remain the same or evolve with time? Let me know your opinion in the comments, because your perspective might appear in our next video discussion. The truth is, every religion has traditions that shape the lives of young believers. For members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, these rituals are meant to guide youth toward faith, service, and personal responsibility. Whether you see them as sacred traditions or cultural practices, they remain a powerful part of the Mormon experience. If you found this exploration interesting, make sure you subscribe to Boring Podcast for more deep dives into religion, culture, and hidden traditions from around the world. Also, comment below and tell me which religious tradition or historical mystery you want us to explore next. Your comment might inspire the next story we uncover here on Boring Podcast.